All right, here we go. Rainy Friday, early evening in the Bay Area. The customary show is here. Will the 49ers beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Preview article up on The Athletic. This was the second bigger piece I worked on this week, obviously, after the Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy origin story. But here we have Nick Bosa and Baker Mayfield, both planting a flag. Nick Bosa, an imaginary flag, but a flag nonetheless. Obviously, some might think this is still a Nick Bosa revenge game. Unfortunately for you, Nick Bosa said that he actually likes Baker Mayfield now, said that he's nice. They actually hung out at the Waste Management Open, which is the golf tournament over in Scottsdale that happens, I believe, the weekend of the Super Bowl. So that was this past February. 49ers actually played Baker Mayfield last year. They played Baker Mayfield together with Christian McCaffrey last year. So the guy on the right was teammates with the guy in the middle right here, Christian McCaffrey, when the 49ers played Carolina last season. Baker, though, did not last too long with Carolina. He is now with Tampa Bay, and he's playing a whole lot better with Tampa Bay than he did with Carolina, arguably better than he has in his career. It's not explosive for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Baker Mayfield is avoiding giveaways, and you have to give him credit for sustaining some type of offensive production despite the fact that Tampa Bay does not have a run game. The run game is really, really bad for Tampa Bay, and that's one of the main keys to this football game. Number 31 in rushing DVOA, Rachaad White is averaging only 3.3 yards per carry. He is the leading back for this Tampa Bay team. And because of that, I think that, you're just kind of looking at Tampa Bay and you say, okay, Mike Evans is dangerous. Chris Godwin is dangerous. But if they're averaging, they're ranked number 19 in explosive plays offensively, you're not afraid of them, right? You're not afraid of this offense really stretching the field against you the way that it would if it had a platform based on a run game. And that's a big, big deal for the 49ers because they've struggled in run defense this season. They're still ranked in the 20s. They turned it around against Jacksonville, and maybe that's going to be a turnaround that lasts the rest of the season. And the 49ers certainly hope that it is because that's what ignites their entire defense. But in general, the weakness for the 49ers has been against the run. They need to stop the run to have some fun. And one of the reasons they haven't been having as much fun defensively is because they haven't been stopping the run. With an asterisk, last week they stopped the run and they had plenty of fun. So that's the matchup on the side of the ball where we're talking about Tampa Bay offense against the 49ers defense. You can talk about, who's going to cover Mike Evans? Well, probably Charvarius Ward. Probably see Deommodore Lenoir on the other side against Godwin. I don't think that Tampa Bay is nearly as strong in the slot as Jacksonville was with Christian Kirk. So maybe a little bit less rotating for the 49ers. But at the end of the day, the absolute key in this game is to hold Tampa Bay to where they're ranked running the football, and then you can completely snuff them out as far as explosiveness goes with your pass rush. Tampa Bay might have a good offensive line. I think Tristan Wirfs is an all-pro caliber player at left tackle, even after he's moved from right tackle to left tackle. Connor Goedeke on the other side has also been solid at right tackle. They might be a little bit weak in the middle, so maybe Javon Hargrave has a big game. But even if that offensive line plays well, if the 49ers cover the way that they're supposed to, then they can force Baker Mayfield to throw into the kill zone. That's the goal. Throw into the kill zone and tackle. The kill zone, that's the inefficient area of the field. You want short passes that don't amount to much. Now, if he decides that he wants to try for a little bit more and your coverage combinations are good and the pass rush continues winning as it has been winning all season long, that's when you can start talking about sacks for the 49ers. But Baker Mayfield has been sacked the fifth least out of any quarterback in football. He's turned the ball over the least. This offense has turned the ball over the least out of any offense in football. So in all likelihood, if that continues playing to serve, the 49ers are going to see a lot of kill zone action in this game. They don't want to see that action going over the top complete, obviously. Hell, if Baker Mayfield wants to try downfield and it's incomplete or he gets sacked or he throws a pick while he's trying, that's great for the 49ers. But I'm just telling you the trends. And the trends so far this season indicate that the run game is not there. The explosiveness for the pass game is not there for Tampa Bay. They might be able to possess the ball a little bit, but not if the 49ers make them live in the kill zone. Other side of the football is Brock Purdy against a Tampa Bay defense that I think is pretty damn good. They aren't as good as they were last year, and that's when Brock Purdy made his NFL starting debut. He lit them up. It was a magical story. The crowd was chanting Purdy's name. Trent Williams today said, "You know what? That was like winning the lottery, hitting the $2 billion Powerball." That's the way that Trent Williams described the 49ers stumbling into Brock Purdy in the draft, starting him against Tampa Bay, and then 17 games later for Brock Purdy, seeing him as the top-rated quarterback in the NFL. Let's put him back up on the screen. There's Brock. There's Christian McCaffrey. They connected for a touchdown at the end of the half last year against Tampa Bay. Brock Purdy also fractured his rib in that game, but still played through that fractured rib against Seattle the following Thursday. You will probably note that this year has the same scheduling. Tampa Bay on Sunday, Seattle on Thursday. 49ers hope that a Purdy fractured rib is not part of that back-to-back. But last year against Tampa Bay's better defense, Brock Purdy absolutely lit it up. He showed us everything that has made him the top-rated quarterback in the NFL today. Mobility in the pocket, sidestepping guys, sprinting. He ran for a touchdown there near the 5-yard line. Good downfield passing capability. And most importantly, Brock Purdy was delivering the ball on time. He kept the Buccaneers defense off balance. That allowed the 49ers to jump out to a 28-0 lead, even though Tom Brady was on the other side. Obviously, it's Baker Mayfield on the other side now with Brady retired. But as far as the opposing defense goes, Tampa Bay can still stop the run. They've been doing a good job stopping the run this year. So number 7 in the NFL, the 49ers are going to have to figure out a way to neutralize the Buccaneers up front. And when you have somebody like Vita Vea, the East Bay native, who is a big, strong, game-disruptive defensive tackle, well, you have to be on your P's and you have to be on your Q's. And that might require Brock Purdy throwing to set up the 49ers run. You never know until the actual game starts what it's going to call for, because it depends on how the defense is playing you. But Vea is an awesome player. He got hurt early in the 49ers Bucs game last year. This is going to be a new test for John Feliciano, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, left guard to right guard on the inside of the 49ers line. Feliciano replacing Aaron Banks for the second straight week. Banks has been ruled out of this game. He's the only player on the 49ers injury report, so they are remarkably healthy as they prepare to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If Purdy loosens it up, he'll have to beat Antoine Winfield Jr., really good-looking safety. The cornerbacks for Tampa Bay are more problematic as far as for the Buccaneers, not for the 49ers. They've given up their share of yardage. I think the 49ers have the battles to win on the outside. I think that they have the quarterback and the play caller that can neutralize Antoine Winfield Jr. and Vita Vea up the middle. One way they can neutralize those guys is to pick on somebody like Devin White, who has struggled in coverage from the linebacker position. Don't forget, though, about Levante David and Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett is the defensive end who was so good in the Super Bowl when Tampa Bay won a couple years back against the Kansas City Chiefs. Levante David is one of the better linebackers in the league. Do you guys remember when people would say, oh, the 49ers are the best linebacking duo in the league, and people would say, oh, no, Tampa Bay is better, Levante David and Devin White. Well, I think now the 49ers are clearly above the Buccaneers caliber, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, but you still can't sleep on Tampa Bay's linebacking core. And, this right here, number 7 in run defense, number 1 in red zone defense, which is really connected because it's, you defend the run well. It's a lot harder to execute in the red zone. You talk about Tampa Bay and you realize that these guys can still play and keep a game close. And if this defense is good enough to keep a game close, and it's taken the ball away 16 times this year, the 49ers have taken it away 17 times. 49ers are number 2 in the league. If you can keep the game close, well, then Baker Mayfield is good enough to beat you if you let your guard down on the other end. So the 49ers have to be on, just like every week, you have to be on your details. The NFL is a week-by-week league. Tampa Bay is 4-5, which means they've beaten 4 NFL teams. But it also means they've lost to 5 NFL teams. On the aggregate, it means they're mediocre. But on any given Sunday, they can go in there and beat you. Just remember that Atlanta Falcons in 2019 against the 49ers. Also a relatively mediocre team. Now, the thing is, the 49ers are as healthy as they've ever been in my tenure covering the team. Aaron Banks is the only player on the injury report for the 49ers. So I don't think that they're in position to be upset here, but an injury can happen early in the game. You can come out slow early in the game. A fluke turnover can happen. And this Tampa Bay team has proven that it can kind of suck the air out of a game just because they don't turn the ball over. Even though they can't run, they haven't been turning the ball over, and they've been avoiding those negative plays through sacks. So that is to the credit of Baker Mayfield, who's been a heady player, and the 49ers absolutely must be prepared for him. Nick Bosa even mentioned that Mayfield has got a little bit more escapability than you might think when you just look at him. So look out for that. He's been running around a little bit in the backfield this year, especially since he hasn't been supported by as much of a run game. Now, all that being said, Tampa Bay is equipped to keep NFL games close. They're not equipped to blow people out. The 49ers are equipped to blow people out. There's the difference between these two teams. One of these teams is mediocre. That's Tampa Bay. One of these teams is, I think, the best in the NFL. That is the 49ers. The data supports that conclusion. It's a tier 1 team against a tier 3, 4, 5 team in Tampa Bay, somewhere in that general vicinity. We'll call them a tier 4 team. So when you consider that, Tampa Bay is not going to be able to hold the 49ers under 20 points in this game. And on the other side of the ball, I think the 49ers hold Tampa Bay under 20 in this game. I'm not going to give you my exact prediction, but to answer the question, will the 49ers beat the Buccaneers? The answer is yes, they will beat the Buccaneers. They're currently 11-point favorites, and I'll come out with the score prediction tomorrow. In the comment section, you could let me know, should I go to Stanford Cal tomorrow? Should I go check out the big game? If you think I should, let me know. Otherwise, ask a question. It's time for the 49ers Q&A. I'm ready for everybody. Best place to find Mexican food in Nashville, either Victor's Tacos or Oscar's Tacos. There's also a place called Baja Burrito, which tries to serve mission-style burritos. My wife is a big fan of theirs. I guess when she played like Little League soccer when she was young, her team was called the Baja Burritos because they were sponsored by Baja Burrito. It's not as good as what you'll find in California, though. I guess nothing is going to be as good as what you'll find in the Bay Area. But they're from Texas, and they're trying to emulate mission-style burritos. They got the whole Texas component there. To find the true magic of the burrito, I think that you have to be from California. Nothing against Baja Burrito. We ate there the other night. It was good. I liked it. I'll give it to you as a recommendation. But Victor's Tacos, Oscar's Tacos, and Baja Burrito. Yes, go to the Stanford Cal game. All right, we'll do an update from the Stanford Cal game tomorrow. That will be cool. Maybe I do the 49ers Buccaneers prediction from there. Well, Jason Verrett needs to formally be signed. That's just the plan right now, is to sign Jason Verrett. They're hoping to sign him by this weekend or the end of this weekend for the start of next week. And as soon as he's signed, he'll be on the practice squad. And if he's on the practice squad, he can play on any given week if the 49ers flex him up. You have 3 activations, temporary ones from the practice squad for a player. So we will check in on Verrett's health status. I thought one of the things that really stood out to me today, Kyle Shanahan said when Verrett first worked out for the 49ers about 5 or 6 weeks ago before he signed with the Texans, 7 49ers players watched the workout, which Shanahan said had never happened before under his watch. He had never seen anything like that before. And it just goes to show the amount of respect that the 49ers have for Jason Verrett. Those veterans see that he's built different, that the perseverance that he's shown through all these season-ending injuries to show up to watch his workout, that means something. So it'd be a no-lose signing, a flyer signing for Jason Verrett. And I think it'd be very, very good for the 49ers locker room. Nothing's going on with Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory is playing for the 49ers, giving them good snaps. He's a rotational defensive lineman, which really makes you appreciate how deep this defense is. The fact that you could have Randy Gregory behind Nick Bosa and Chase Young. So Randy Gregory's fine for the 49ers wearing that number 5. Cal Stanford could be a blowout. In what direction? Could be a blowout in either direction. I don't think either of these two teams are very good. You want to see the Buckeye Crunch on Sunday. The meat at the quarterback for Nick Bosa and Chase Young. Oh, yes. Shohan, that's our favorite restaurant. The Shohan, I think it's called the Shohan Masala and Ale House in Nashville. Literally my wife and I's favorite restaurant. It's an Indian place with a southern twist. It's downtown, or the Gulch, I guess technically. It is really good. Shohan's really good. I'll do something from there at some point. I'm going to be back there over the course of next weekend, so maybe we swing by Shohan. All right, post your questions. Got a few minutes here to answer them. The Buckeye bookend was looking good. It's not an assumption. We know that Aaron Banks suffered a turf toe. A turf toe means that there is a sprain of the ligament in the toe. So that's why Aaron Banks is out, possibly back for the Seattle game, but no further word than that right now. I think that Jake Moody has actually been fine for the 49ers. He had that rough stretch in Cleveland and then to the first kick in Minnesota, but has been making everything since then. Now, it's been a little hairy at times. I think that he's going a little too close to the right upright, but I saw side by side Moody's stats at this point of his career were better than Robbie Gold's stats early in his career. So 49ers always knew it would take some time, and they hope that Jake Moody irons out a lot of the issues by the time that the playoffs come around. And if he doesn't, then I hope they just blow teams out so they don't need to worry about it at the kicker position. Yeah, you absolutely should try out Shohan in the second week of December if you're out there in Nashville. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it. Yes, turf toe was the injury at the end of Patrick Willis's career. I don't know if he retired due to the toe injury or if he just wanted to lay off all the contact of football. He did retire what some people thought was rather early, but it was the injury that really hampered his 2014 season, which was his final year in the league. I don't see a move at right tackle happening this week. Colton McKivitz was out of practice all 3 days, didn't have a brace or anything on his ankle or his knee. So I think they're going to keep it rolling there. In the future, maybe. I mean, Jalen Moore played really well filling in for Trent Williams at left tackle. And back in 2021, the 49ers actually benched Jalen Moore for Colton McKivitz at halftime of a game in Jacksonville after Moore let up a quarterback hit, touchdown pass from Jimmy Garoppolo to Brandon Ayuk. So it is possible to see a reverse leapfrogging, right? You saw McKivitz leapfrog Moore, maybe Moore leapfrogs McKivitz. But at this point, it's not going to happen to start this weekend. That's for sure. Well, I mean, you're talking about Aaron Banks, a protective boot. Yeah, I'm sure they could put on a protective boot, but that wouldn't stop the pain. Plus, you can't really plant when you're wearing a boot. So, I mean, if your toe ligament is sprained, which is what turf toe is, doesn't matter if you wear a boot to protect it. If it still hurts and still compromises your mobility, you've got to wait for that injury to heal. Do I think that we're going to see McCaffrey throw a touchdown again this season? Oh, I don't know. Maybe they wait till the playoffs to dig into that bag of tricks this time. There they are. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check it out. That's the big story. And then the prediction story, which is linked in the description. I talk about Nick Bosa and Baker Mayfield. The 2017 flag plant on the right versus the Vengeance, the 2019 flag plant on the left. Any thoughts on Joe Burrow being out? Well, he's done for the season. My thought, I posted a short on this. The 49ers were very unfortunate to catch the Bengals in the very slim window that Joe Burrow was fully healthy. He wasn't healthy to start the season with a calf strain, and he obviously isn't healthy now with the torn ligament in his wrist. He's done for the year. And Jake Browning isn't very good, his backup. So the 49ers caught Cincinnati at the one time that they were playing like a buzzsaw. Very small window. Cincinnati's season feels a lot like the 49ers 2020 season, just completely circling down the toilet due to injuries. But they gave you a little glimpse of what they can be when they're fully healthy. So did the 2020 49ers. I think it was weeks 2 and 3 and then week 6 against the Rams. They gave you a little glimpse of who they could be, but it's about so much more than just one week. You've got to be able to sustain it throughout the course of an entire season. And that's a condition that requires health to be in place. That's for sure. Yeah, quarterback injuries are scary right now. We've lost so many QBs, starting QBs around the league for the whole season. In fact, the 49ers' 3 losses, the starting QBs of the teams that the 49ers lost to, or the first-string quarterbacks on those teams, have all been lost for the season at this point. Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns, although the 49ers didn't play him. Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings, done with a year Achilles. And Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals, done with a year with a torn ligament in his wrist. Thank you, Kirk from Indianapolis. He points out that Joe Montana had a 63.7% completion rate in 1981 when the 49ers won the Super Bowl. For reference, Brock Purdy is at about 68% this year. Purdy's also ranked as the number 1 most efficient quarterback. He is number 1 across the board statistically with the efficiency stats that matter. So it has been awesome to see what Brock Purdy is doing. Like Trent Williams said, the 49ers found that winning Powerball lottery ticket. You expect the 49ers to own the Seahawks twice again. Well, they owned them 3 times last year. Not just twice. They owned them 3 times. Multiple possession wins 3 times. Maybe they didn't get them by multiple possessions in Seattle. I think it was an 8-point game, 7-point game. But only because of the roughing the passer penalty against Nick Bosa that nullified the Diamador Lenore pick 6. I don't think that the effort was half-hearted against the Vikings and the Bengals. I think the 49ers were just exhausted against Cincinnati. I also don't think the effort was half-hearted against Minnesota. It was a primetime game. I just think that they didn't have Trent Williams. They couldn't establish the run the way that they wanted to. And then Brock Purdy got concussed at the end of the game. They still almost won an NFL game. They weren't aligned very well in either the Cincinnati or the Minnesota game in the secondary. They fixed a lot of those things. They started running more disguises. And most importantly, they came off of a bye week. So the 49ers were rested. Is Brock Purdy like Brett Favre? I don't know if he has as strong of an arm as Brett Favre, who had one of the strongest arms we've ever seen. And you would hope that he doesn't throw as many interceptions as Brett Favre, who has the NFL record for picks. I think he's somewhat of a gunslinger. I think he does take some chances. Brock does. But just because we saw one cross-body, cross-field throw doesn't mean that the hands-on, spot-on comp is Brett Favre. I see some similarities yet, yes, but you don't want to see too many because Favre did throw a ton of picks. And he was a good quarterback, and he took a lot of chances, but a lot of interceptions that I don't think that Kyle Shanahan would be happy with because he likes to keep the line moving offensively. Kirk Cousins also did play the game of his life. So I think that's the best that we've ever seen Kirk Cousins. M. Davis says, it seems like many people have ignored the impact of the concussion on Brock. His poor play really started after the QB sneak in the Vikings game. It can take weeks to think quickly again. Yes, that's true. And I can't emphasize the first part of your message enough. Purdy was awesome in that game up until the quarterback sneak where we saw the helmet-to-helmet hit. The 2 interceptions happened after. And then he was really good for most of the Cincinnati game. The main key is the 49ers fell behind in Cincinnati. And that was a lot of that was their defense's fault. A lot of it was the 49ers unable to pick up a yard early on against Cincy on that first drive on 3rd down and 1, 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. So anyway, play with a lead. Any quarterback's going to look better. And yes, don't have your quarterback take shots to the helmet like Brock Purdy did. in that game. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. It's been fun. The main question of this show was, will the 49ers beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And the answer on this show, yes, they will. Predictions coming, a lot more content coming. So like the video, sub to the channel, check out the game preview. It's linked in the description. We'll talk to you soon.